I'm Kevin Deskins. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Midwest Photo. Our camera store is located in Columbus, Ohio, just off of I-71 and Weber Road on Silver Drive. You can always visit us online at mpex.com or call us at 614-261-1264. But today, you're not here to listen to me ramble on about business. You're here to see a review on the Canon EOS R5 and R6. Luckily, Canon didn't just send us a test drive to do with the R5, they gave us a test drive on the R6 as well. So in the last 3 days, we've worked with some of the best content creators in Columbus to show off some of the greatest features of the Canon EOS R5 and R6. Before we get started with our first shooter today, I do want to review some of the differences between the Canon EOS R5 and the R6. With the R5 being the bigger brother, it has a little bit more robust of features. It holds a 45 megapixel full frame sensor. It shoots 12 frames per second on the mechanical shutter and 20 frames per second on the electronic shutter, which means you can capture great detail and step-by-step action. In addition to this, it shoots 8K at 30 frames per second or 24 frames per second. And in addition to this, it can do 4K and 120 frames per second, so you can get incredibly slow motion footage. Now, the R6 is the little brother. It can do 20 megapixels and has the same frame rate burst compared to the R5. So again, 12 frames per second mechanical and 20 frames per second electronic. Now, the difference is primarily going to be the video. The R6 can capture 4K 60 compared to 4K 20 on the R5. Those are the biggest differences between the two. Physically speaking, the R5 does have a top-down readout screen, the R6 does not, but both contain a 3+ inch swivel screen to it. Now that we've seen a few differences between the two cameras, let's see how they perform with video. We recently reached out to Spencer Lookabaugh, a former employee here at Midwest Photo. He was our lighting specialist. He spread his wings and now he's a freelance videographer. Spencer was asked to demonstrate and show off some of the human and animal eye AF tracking in video. Let's see what he has to offer us.
The 8K recording on the R5 presents a couple really unique uses. The first of which is just the extra quality that you can get from downsampling a higher resolution image. So if you're shooting on the R5 in 8K and you downsample to 4K or even to 1080, it just seems like it looks sharper. And I know that there are some cameras that have just actually done that internally, where they were sort of filming 6K or something like that, and they would downsample internally and get really sharp video compared to a lot of other competitors. So that's one really interesting thing, especially nowadays when most people are still delivering in 1080 or 2K or 4K. 8K display isn't really there yet. The second main use for 8K is really cropping in. If you're shooting an interview like this and you've got two cameras traditionally like I do right now, there's an R5 right here for the kind of A-cam angle, and the B-cam is the R6. With 8K, you could actually crop in and kind of get your second or even third angle with the 8K footage. So if you're shooting a wider shot like this, you could crop into a lot tighter and just have an extra shot to edit to kind of mix things up, because sometimes interviews can get kind of boring. And a lot of the projects that I'm working on nowadays, I'm usually pulling focus manually with either a hand wheel on my camera, or somebody else is pulling focus wirelessly, just because that's the most reliable way to do it. And when you don't want to sit there and do take after take after take for focus, you kind of need that. And so traditionally that's always been the method. When I was using the R5 on a gimbal, I was really shocked to see that it never lost focus on the eye unless that eye completely left frame. And even when that person came back into frame, the camera was able to pick up that eye really quickly and pretty smoothly. And so I would say that for tracking shots, or even maybe you're not really moving the camera that much, but the person's moving, it seems like the R5 is going to be able to actually really latch onto eyes and can potentially make things a lot easier.
After flexing the video features, let's pivot to photo real quick. We reached out to Monty Soungpradith, of Open Image Studios. He's a lifestyle and commercial photographer. He shoots models, families, engagements, and weddings. Monty's going to show off how he uses those 45 million pixels in the R5 and the intuitiveness of the Canon EOS R5's AF tracking system.
So in comparison to my Canon EOS R, I think the R5 is a big leap in terms of its features, specs, all that stuff. For me, I don't care so much about the specs. I really care about how the camera makes me feel and how connected I am with the equipment, because that's what's going to draw more out of me as a creator. But it's a big leap forward. Yeah, so as a commercial photographer, I'm already used to shooting, medium format with larger megapixels. Canon's EOS R's capability of capturing 45 megapixel is going to be a big advantage in terms of for my commercial clients and projects. I have a few clients that will make wall displays, large prints for ad campaigns, and so having that resolution is going to be key. Autofocus is definitely something that it's either a struggle, a challenge, or you nail it. And I think with the EOS R5, the autofocus system is insane. It's something I have not experienced in 16 years as a photographer in terms of its quickness, responsiveness, the eye tracking. It's just the experience of shooting with something like that and nailing the autofocus is going to be a big benefit, for sure. I absolutely love the autofocus, to be honest. I was actually very giddy about it. It was just an amazing experience, and I've not shot with a camera like that, where the autofocus nailed it. And that's important to me because, especially when you're shooting wide open in some cases, and you'll get like the shoulder of a person in focus, but with the R5, you're getting the eye. And that's critical when it comes to, seeing the results and the final product, which is the print, to deliver to the client.
Finally, we reached out to local photographer, Nat Geo expedition leader, and instructor at The Ohio State University, Leonardo Carrizo. Leonardo specializes in telling stories through portraits, whether that's rural farmers in Europe or festivals going on in Central America. Today, Leonardo is going to demonstrate how great that 20 frames per second is by capturing a motorcyclist doing a burnout in our parking lot. In addition to this, he's going to take some video at 4K, 120 frames per second to show you all of that smoke billowing off the tires.
The 20 frames per second burst mode was unbelievable. It was a lot of fun having that, especially with the motorcycle, for storytelling, because you can get so many frames and you can actually create a GIF file, right? And you're not gonna miss a shot as well. So I do a lot of travel photography where I get with people where they do action and a lot of moving parts. So having those 20 frames per second bursts means that I know I'm gonna have my shot and I'm not gonna be missing any of the action. And in addition to that, I can put them together, I can create a GIF package with that ability. With the 120 frames per second video, it's perfect to slow down the action and to actually see the details and to see movement in body parts or in gestures or in any type of action. And I had a lot of fun using that today. So for somebody like me who is a 5D shooter, having the joystick and the dial on the R5, it's a great feature because it makes it very easy to just grab that camera and run with it. There's no learning curve pretty much because it's so familiar. So it makes it easy to jump from one body to another one without problems, without any issues. So one of the greatest thing about using the R5, again, it was how familiar it was going from a 5D. I love that feature. The joystick, the wheel. Also, body image stabilization in Canon, now that we have it in the body, and the lens is a perfect combination. One of the things that I'm still working on in the 5D is focusing with my thumb on the screen. So I still need more practice with that. But it's not that big of a problem because I'm used to using the joystick, and now I have that back. In addition to that, one of the other things that I really enjoyed, especially for storytelling and just to make sure that I have the shot, I have 100% range within that screen to be able to focus. And that's another great advantage that I'm looking forward to exploring more.
I want to give a big thanks to all of our local creators today. Big thanks to Spencer Lookabaugh, Monty Soungpradith, and Leonardo Carrizo. Also, want to give a big thanks to Canon for lending us these cameras early so that we can test drive them and see how awesome they truly are. All of our customers and the staff here are incredibly excited about the Canon EOS R5 and the R6. If you're excited too and you want to put in a pre-order or you want to talk more about these cameras, visit us online at mpex.com, that's mpex.com, or call us at 614-261-1264. We'll see you guys next time.